If I can remember, my father would always take me fishing almost every weekend. We live down south, so it's always warm where we are. Fishing is my favorite hobby to do. I would rather go fishing than play games or go drinking with my friends on the weekend. Although I may not always bring fish back home, I still catch and release it. Fishing is like meditation for me. I get to be alone on a quiet lake or river, and it helps me just think about life and to collect myself. Sometimes my buddy, Nick, would tag along with me to go fishing. He is the only friend that enjoys fishing. My other friends think it's such a boring thing to do on the weekend. They would rather go ride their dirt bike or just drink. Not my cup of tea at all. There was this one time on a Sunday night around 4 p.m. I just finished chopping up wood for the fireplace and thought maybe I should spend the rest of the day fishing and maybe even catching dinner. I called up Nick and asked if he would like to join me and do some quick night fishing down by the river. He said he will see, because he has to help his dad first and he will just meet me at the fishing spot. I said okay, and we hung up. I packed all my fishing gear and my fish bucket and got in my car and drove off. Once I got to our fishing spot, it was almost 6 p.m. I got my fishing backpack on and carried my fishing pole and bucket and started heading down towards the water. As I slowly approached the spot, I saw someone already fishing. As I got closer, the back of the person looked like my buddy Nick. I said, "Hey bro, you got here faster than I thought. Catch anything yet?" Nick didn't say anything but still had his back towards me. As I unloaded my stuff, Nick all of a sudden started packing his stuff into his tackle box. He still didn't say a word to me, which I thought was weird of him. He's never like this. As he was packing up to leave, I said to Nick, "Hey man, you okay?" Nick didn't say a word to me and just walked up the bank and left. To be honest, I got pretty pissed because Nick never acts shady like this to me. We have been good friends for 10 plus years, and he's never acted like this to me. I said whatever, and continued fishing by myself till it got pitch dark, then I left. That night, I only caught 3 catfish. The next morning, I thought I already got over the fact that Nick was being shady to me, but somehow, I just can't let it go. So I decided to call and front him up. Nick picked up and I said, "Hey man, why did you act like you didn't know me last night when I saw you at our fishing spot?" Nick got confused and said, "Chill dude. What are you talking about? I decided not to come fishing with you last night. Sorry, I should have called or texted you to inform you that I wasn't coming, but I was too caught up helping my dad that I forgot." I laughed and said to Nick to quit playing around because last night, I saw him fishing with my own 2 eyes. Nick kept denying that he didn't come out fishing, and if I want to know the truth, that he didn't leave his house, he will send me a camera video of him outside helping his dad. I said okay, prove me wrong then. We hung up, and my phone got a text. It was a video from his backyard camera. It showed Nick and his dad working on something in their backyard, and the time on the video was 6 o'clock, the same time when I saw the other Nick fishing at our fishing spot. I was in total shock and confused. Like, how can Nick be in 2 places at once? Or is the person that I saw at the fish spot not Nick, and it was actually a ghost? My husband and I love fishing because we simply just love to eat fish. We are those kind of couples that spend more time outside in nature than being cooped up inside our house. We don't plan to have kids yet because we want to travel and fish as much as we can before settling down to start a family. We are out in nature so much that we've seen everything you could think of and even more. Our friends even gave us the nickname, the Wild Couple. We just laugh because that name does suit us, since we are always doing something outdoors in the wilderness. The month of May comes along, and we decided to go night fishing to catch some catfish so we can fry them up for an upcoming camping trip with our friends. We packed everything that we were going to need for the whole night and drove to our secret spot. This spot not a lot of people know, and as all fishermen knows, you never expose your best fishing spot. As we arrived to set up camp right by the small lake, we threw in our baits, and we waited. Catfish are bottom feeders, so they search for food at the bottom of the lake, so it's a waiting game. But the prize is always rewarding. As it got darker, we started catching a lot of fish back to back. As we were getting ready for bed, we saw in the distance someone camping as well. All we could see was the light of the campfire. We thought, who else knows this spot? Every time we come fishing here, no one comes here because it's so hidden. So we thought to slowly sneak up on them to see if we can see who they are. As we got closer, we can hear people talking, but can't make out what they are saying. Sounds like a lot of muffled talking. As we got even closer, the glow from the campfire died out, and it went dark. It was like they knew we were coming or something. Since the light went out, we couldn't pinpoint where they were, so we just backtracked to our campsite. As we got back to our tent, we saw the light of the campfire light up again. It was crazy as hell. We said, screw it, we are tired, let's just hit the hay and rest for the rest of the night. Right as we were just getting comfortable, we heard footsteps walking around our campsite. It sounded like there were two people walking in circle around our tent. I started to get scared and told my husband to do something about it. He then shouted, "Get away from us. I have a gun, and I'm not afraid to use it." After my husband shouted at them, you can hear the footsteps slowly walked away. But right after that, we heard something dripping on top of our tent. The dripping didn't sound like rain. It sounded like there was a hole in a water bottle, and the water is slowly leaking out, and once it hits the floor or something, you hear the drip sound. We were too tired to check it out, so we just fell asleep. Morning came, and we got out of our tent to feel the warm sun on our faces. As I stretched and tilted my head up, I saw a dead man hanging right above our tent. I got so scared I started screaming for my husband. He got out of the tent and asked me what's the matter. I just told him to look up. As we both looked up, we saw a man hanging from the branches right above our tent. He isn't that decomposed, so we guess he must have hung himself just recently. And turns out the dripping sound was his blood that was dripping onto our tent. We got so scared and called 911. While we waited for the cops, we gathered up all our stuff and threw the tent into a trash bag because we've decided to just throw the tent away since there's blood on it. When the cops arrived, they asked us when did we see the body. We said we just noticed it this morning because we came to this spot last night and it was getting dark already, so we didn't even notice the guy hanging above us. After we were interviewed, the cop said we can go. As we were leaving, we saw that the cops had climbed up the tree and cut the guy down. It was a gruesome scene to watch. This was the most frightening experience my husband and I have ever had. After that day, we stopped going to that fishing spot. My name is Ryan, and I have a group of friends that love to fish. We call our group the Marlins, like the fastest fish in the world. Our group loves to go on weekend fishing trips, especially during the summer. We live in the state of Minnesota, and Minnesota is known for its 1,000 lakes. So, we have many options. This one summer weekend, we've decided to rent a cabin and go fishing at this one lake. I won't be disclosing the name of this lake. Just know that this lake is in Minnesota. As we arrived at the lake, we launched our boats into the water. There were 8 of us, so we had 2 boats. We parted ways and said to meet back at the dock by 5 p.m. My group decided we should go up the lake to where the dam is and hopefully, we catch big ones over there. We fished for a good 3 hours. We all were so happy, and our adrenalines were kicking in. We were making bets that we probably caught more than the other guys did. We were having so much fun until my guy Kenny caught something. We assumed it was a big fish, but whatever was on the end of the line isn't pulling like how a fish would. We thought, okay, it's not a fish. His lure is just stuck. So now, we just got to try our best to unhook it from what it stuck on. We worked on his fishing pole for a good 20 minutes, and we finally got it unhooked. As we railed in his finishing line, to our surprise, at the end of the fishing line was a decomposing human foot. The foot was about a size 8 in men, and it still has all 5 toes on it. Despite the rotting that has begun, you can tell the ankle was ripped off the leg. We all were so frightened, thinking, what should we do? What if there's a whole body under this water? We put the foot into our boat and decided to call the cops and inform them that we railed in a human foot. 15 minutes later, there was a whole scene at the dam area. Scuba divers came. Detectives showed up. My friends and I were curious, so we stayed and watched to see if they'd find anything. And what do you know? They found a whole intact body. It was a bittersweet moment when they pulled this guy's body out of the water in that condition. But it was also scary that my friends and I lured in his foot. Turns out, he was a missing person that disappeared for 2 weeks now. I will never forget this, and neither will my buddies. We still talk about this till this day, every time we go fishing together.